If you're a parent and you're watching this, I would advise, why are you buying your kid a house? Why are you buying your kid a condo? Why don't you set your kid up for success? Give them money, go in on the loan, whatever. Go buy a 2 to 4 unit. Let them live in one. Let them get that experience if that's what they're interested in, renting the others out, helping pay for the cost of the mortgage. Your son can then go into their job. If they're coming down here to San Diego to start a life, they just have that much of a less of a burden of that monthly payment.
Welcome back to Get in the Cash Flow Game with K&K, where we talk about investing in real estate, cash flow, building wealth, and all the lessons we learned along the way. And if you can, do me a huge favor, please like and subscribe this podcast, share it with your friends and family. That way we can continue to bring you value every week and get bigger and better guests on the show.
All right, guys, welcome back. It's K&K, but it's just K. Welcome back to another episode of Get in the Cash Flow Game. It's just K, Kenny. Crystal's not here, but don't worry, I got you covered. This week, I was thinking about what to talk about. There's a lot of stuff going on in the real estate market, but what is going on is let's talk about who's buying their first time home. It's the millennial buyer. And if any of you guys caught my date over drama, you would know they are the biggest buyer. You would also know that the peak of the millennials were born in 1990. Fast forward, it's 33 years old, right? So the biggest buyer right now is 33 to 36. That is when you're a millennial buyer. If you're 33 to 36, you're most likely, let's think about it. You might be married. You might be single, you might be engaged, you might have a kid, you might have 3 kids, you might have 5 kids. You're most likely tired of renting, looking to buy. But depending on where you live in the US, it's expensive to buy. I was talking to a gentleman today in Austin, and young guy, just looking to buy a house, a lot more affordable there than here. 3-bedroom, 2-bath, $425,000 right outside Austin, 15-20 minutes, nice neighborhood. Needs a little bit of love, paint, flooring, stuff like that, but he wants to do the house hack. So he's not going to buy units, but he's going to rent out a room. He could probably, we were talking about, do I do a 3-bedroom? Do I do a 4-bedroom? And the reason why I said, well, look, if, a lot of people in Austin, you work from home, if this person works from home, wouldn't you love to offer them, hey, here's a room, and also here's another room you can have. You can pay more, you can have an office. So that is a house hack. So this week, I want to jump in and talk about house hacking. If you've heard of house hacking, or you're going to hear more about it, if you heard about it and you're like, what in the world is a house hacking? It could be many things. It could be you're buying a house, a single family, and you're renting out rooms. It could be you're buying a house and you're VRBOing short-term rental rooms. So long-term, short-term. It could be you're buying a house and converting a garage, a storage unit to an ADU like here in San Diego, getting it permitted, building it out, renting it out, short-term, long-term. It could be that you're buying a 2 to 4 unit, living in one, or 1 to 4 unit, or 2 to 4, living in one, renting out the rest. But the whole point is that you're going to house hack, meaning you're going to take your money that you've earned, put it down, get a conventional FHA mortgage, a VA mortgage, whatever it is, and you're going to live in one of the bedrooms, one of the units, and rent out the others to help offset the cost for living in expensive places like what? California, Washington, Seattle, Oregon, Texas, Florida, New York, everywhere, right? Wherever it's expensive, you might want a house hack. And a lot of people, the new generation, they don't want to be house poor. They do want to buy a home. They do want to call a place home. They want to individualize it. They want to make it their own way. This generation, they also want to go out and hang out with friends and go eat and go have experience and go to concerts and travel and fun. But it's hard to do that when you live in a place. Let's pick San Diego because that's where I live and that's where I'm shooting this from. It's expensive to live here. So what is house hacking ultimately? It's basically having a place, a property where you live in and others live too, and they help pay your mortgage, or they help you pay all of your mortgage, or they help you pay all your mortgage and then you still cash flow. And yes, that is happening in a place like San Diego. So when I hear people go, you can't do that there, that's because you don't know enough people. You don't know enough deals that got done. You can absolutely do that in a place like San Diego. Can it happen to everybody? No. You have to be tactical. The people that I know that are really doing well in cash flowing are doing short-term rentals, but hey, why not? Buy a place here in Pacific Beach, 4 unit. Yeah, you're going to pay a lot more. You can do VA, you can put your money down, but you can go rent out the units. Hey, last time I heard, at some point in your life, you are going to hit a 67-year-old, whatever it is, age, right? If we are so lucky to make it that long, and you have to think about retirement. The biggest expense, most likely, of us right now, for a majority of us, is what? Your house payment. The second could be insurance, a car payment, whatever. So if you can eliminate your house payment early on in your life, you can stack more cash to invest money in whatever you want. Real estate, stocks, crypto, arts, traveling, invest back in yourself. I don't care what it is, but at least you have cash flow. So if somebody else is paying your mortgage, that is cash flow. So it's like owning a investment property, but you live in it. So that is what house hacking is, and that's what I want to cover today. And I want to cover topics like financing, location, management, be a good landlord, exit strategy, and also how to repeat this strategy and how to grow maybe a little portfolio, or depending on what little or big to you is, or a bigger. And look, big portfolio to some of us might be 20 units. A big portfolio to some of us might be 1,000 units. It doesn't matter. The point is, let's dive into house hacking. It's so common. I talk about it weekly, literally with millennials, because it's so smart. I'm glad there's things like books and YouTubes and articles and Instagram and Twitter, TikTok, and courses and bigger pockets and all these things, because it's educating people on what else is out there. The days of go to college, leave college, get married, have kids, buy a big house, have a big mortgage, have your cars, 401k, all that. I'm not saying it's over, but what I'm telling you guys is that we've seen how that's played out. We've seen our parents, we've seen our great-grandparents, great. But let me tell you something. I've seen somebody do that model. It's not bad. But I've also seen somebody that went and bought property and they're better off. I also went to somebody that bought more property and they're even better off. So investing in other things and having that opportunity is great, but you have to have additional capital to do that. So either you make a lot more and you save, or you figure out a house hack of how to have somebody else pay for your mortgage so you can invest. So let's jump into it, because I don't want to be here all day and bore you guys with this topic. But if you have not heard this and you have children, you should forward this to them. If you're a parent and you can afford to help your kids get into a property and house hack, you should do that. And we will get into that. It's very, very smart and they can win. And I will tell you, a lot of parents do help their kids with this because they realize it makes sense. It's economics 101. It's numbers, it's money. All right. So financing. The cool thing about house hacking is you could go buy a 2 to 4 unit property. Hey, if you're in the military, you could put zero down. Number one, let's check that box. Literally zero down. You can use those rents to help offset the payment to qualify. Number one. Number two, 2 to 4 units. You could do FHA, as I always say. It's harder to qualify in 3 to 4 units because you have to pass the self-sufficiency test. If you don't know what that is and you want more information on it, go research it. Learn more about it. But what it means is, let's say your mortgage payment's $5,000. Let's say your rent, I'm bringing out my calculator because I don't want to mess this up. Let's say your rent is $6,500 gross. The market rent of this property, the 4 unit, if you moved out all the units to $6,500, we take 75%. That's $4,875. That property would not qualify. So if your payment's $5,000, your total gross payment would have to make $7,000. So what FHA wants to make sure, if for some reason you leave that property, this property is self-sufficient, that it can cash flow itself. That's what it is. So I'm not going to get too much into it. Go look it up, but that's what it is. Third option is conventional. 2 units, you can put as little as 15% down. If you go 3 to 4, you're putting 20% down. Either way, these are the typical ways you're going to house hack: VA, FHA, or conventional. And conventional can be broken up of, portfolio products, ARM products, 30-year fixed, whatever it is, doesn't matter. So now you got the financing down, now you have options. And that's a beautiful thing. If you did VA and you put no money down, you're getting in for nothing. People are helping you pay for it. So number one. Number two, FHA, you can put as little as 3.5% down. It's amazing. Minimal down. So parents, by the way, you can gift all this down payment. You can gift the closing costs, the down payment. You can help your kids get into that property. And maybe you don't even have to co-sign. You can also co-sign for them on the mortgage. As long as they make the payment, you're not going to get affected. And they show that payment out of their account for 12 months, 12 canceled checks, 12 ACH payments. You, parent, that is no longer a debt's going to hit you. Yes, it shows up on your credit report. I go get 12 months canceled checks from your son, your daughter, your whatever. That payment is no longer affecting your debt to income ratio. If you don't know what debt to income is, go look that up too. Okay. Number two, let's talk about location. You've heard in real estate, location, location, location. So why is it a big deal? The beautiful thing that I see with people when it comes to house hacking or doing that is they can step it up. So if you're going to buy a condo, so let's say you can only afford a condo. You're like, well, I don't want to buy a condo and live in this part of the town. Okay. Well, if you could buy a 2 unit, you could step it up and maybe get in a nicer neighborhood, because remember, unit number 2, tenant number 2, resident number 2 that's in your property, or 3 or 4 is helping you pay that mortgage so you can qualify for more. So let's say you're like, hey, Kenny, I'm cool by myself. I'm living by myself. I'm kicking butt. I'm making $150,000 a year in my job. I'm cool with a $3,500 payment. And you realize I can only get a condo for $500,000. This stinks. But then you realize like, hey, I can go buy, $900,000 2-unit property FHA. And because it's in a nicer neighborhood and I can get that rent, somebody else is going to pay me $3,500. I can go live in a nicer neighborhood and get that rent, and they can pay for it. And when I can refi and rates come down, my payment's gonna drop even more. That's another reason is why I say location is this can get you or your kid or whoever into a nicer location because somebody else is helping pay for the mortgage, and it's a win. Number 3, managing the property, the laws. Look, here's the thing. A lot of people don't like this because I don't want tenants. I don't want to deal with it. Look, you can live in one unit and have 3 other ones and hire a property management company and just be done with it and not even deal with it. That's option number 1. Number 2 is what I recommend is you self-manage. Is self-managing hard? No. What are a couple rules to follow? Number 1, when you do self-manage, go do some homework, go do some research, go read a couple books, watch some stuff online, get a little bit of education, number 1. Number 2, become friends, get to know, have in your back pocket a real estate attorney, more like eviction, tenant protection attorney that you can call and ask questions to if you have problems. And number 3, follow the laws, do things right, and just be a nice person to your tenants. You don't need to hang out and sing Kumbaya and have s'mores and be best friends. That's not what I recommend. I'm saying be nice, be pleasant. If there's a problem with the property, fix it. If they call you in the middle of the night and they're having a water leak, well, guess what? You decide to be a landlord, fix it. So the last thing I will leave you with is number 4 is make sure you have a good maintenance guy that you can call anytime that can come out, fix things, repair things, and do your stuff. Yes, you might need a contractor to fix the property up, but that maintenance guy is something that takes care of leaks and changes out door locks and fixes little problems here and there and maybe does some touch up and stuff like that. It keeps your property nice, right? But some of the other things you can do that really are helpful is have your landscaper come once a week. Kenny, why would I do that? Because it's like having a porter come once a week to your property. They'll keep up with the landscaping, keep everything trimmed, blow it, keep it nice. Boom, right? Maybe your handyman guy, maybe once a year you have him come around the property, depending on the size of it, do some touch-up paint, do some power washing, things like that. Yes, reinvest back in your property. Keep your tenants happy. So when you do that rent raise and they're not like, this place is a dump, they go, wow, I'm living here. I like it. Kenny's nice. He keeps the place nice. He fixes us on time. He responds. I'm going to handle this. I'm going to do things nice. So that's number 4. Speaking of number 4 is I will say is be a good landlord. And that is specifically one. And I mentioned it up there. So what does being a good landlord mean? It's just being a professional. It's just make sure you have the proper leases. Make sure you talk to the tenants in a professional manner, right? Make sure you handle things properly. Make sure you follow the laws. If you don't know what you're doing and you're confused, like I said, pass your stuff off to a property manager. Go do your homework, do your research. But the worst thing you can do is a tenant doesn't pay or tenant's bitching and you start getting attitude, you start screaming, you start yelling, you start getting defensive, and you start having this arrogant attitude or this. Do not do that. You will never win. If your tenant is not paying, do you have to fix something? Yes, you do. If your tenant's not paying and you can't get them out, you got to evict them. That's a whole other story. But look, be nice, be professional, and stick to that. That will really help you in the future with your property and everything else. And honestly, it will just make the environment so much better. Number 5 is exit strategy, right? So many people buy properties and never look at an exit strategy. So when you're doing a house hack, the whole benefit here is you're adding value, doing all this stuff, right? You're adding the value, you're getting the tenants, you're hoping to run it right. They pay for stuff. You're learning about the business. You're running a little business, but you're getting smart. And this might lead into, I don't ever want to own real estate again, or I want to own more. So if you want to own more, maybe you did a house. Maybe you have a 2-unit and you want to exit out of it and sell it and go, I want to go from a 2 to a 4-unit, a 2 to a 6-unit, whatever it is. What is the exit strategy? When you bought the property, did you buy right? Did you fix all the things up? Could you maximize your rent? Did you buy in a nice area? So you should always know your exit strategy. The great thing about if you own a 4-unit and you're living in one and all of a sudden you were single, you're out there mingling, having a good time here in Pacific Beach, living the vida loca, whatever you want to call it, and all of a sudden that girl knocked you off your feet, you fell in love. Next thing you know, you're engaged and you're like, she's like, look, I don't want to live in this 4-unit. I don't want to live next to all your tenants. I'm over this. And you got to move out. The cool thing is you should be able to move out of that unit, rent it out. Now you have an asset that cash flows, has some equity. Now you're a real estate investor. You already were, but now you are. Now you can move over here and go buy that condo, the house, because you're going to what? Probably get married, start a family, and move on to that chapter. Could you stay in there? Absolutely. But having the flexibility, having the extra strategy to sell it and buy a house, keep it, right? Buy another house, keep it, try to cash out, refinance it, buy another house. So you have options there. And the cool thing is you don't have to move right away. You're in there. So if you're barely paying any rent and you buy a house, you got to remodel it and do things. You have flexibility. You can move around. You can make things happen. And last but not least,
we've been working on this for the past few months. You know, we always want to bring as much value as we possibly can. And our partner, Prime Corporate Services, is all about bringing you a service you can't get anywhere else at a price you can't get anywhere else. Whether you're new to owning a business or owning a property, or you're an experienced property owner or investor, Prime Corporate Services is not only going to help you, but they're going to make the process so much easier. So if you book a call, the first thing they're going to do for you is help you understand what your business structure should look like, your corporate structure, tax planning, estate planning, all of that. Maybe you're saying, I'm brand new to starting a business and all this sounds foreign and complicated. Remember, this company helps new people just getting started every day. They're going to help you form the entity that's best for you and walk you through the process. Before I found this company, we paid thousands of dollars to other attorneys, CPAs, and consultants to try to understand exactly how we need to be structured to be as protected as possible. We've also gone the other route and used online platforms to form entities which unnecessarily put us at risk. You guys, you don't have to do that with this company. They'll do all of these things for you at a reasonable price, so you never have to think about saving money at the expense of exposing yourself to liability. We've searched high and low, and you will not find this much value anywhere else. All you have to do is schedule a free call today. Just go to primecorporateservices.info/GITCG. Once again, that's primecorporateservices.info/GITCG. We'll also leave the info for you in the show notes.
I said number 6. It was repeat and rent. This is like the Burr strategy, but it's a house hack. So you could buy a 3-unit, use FHA, build some equity in it, refi out to conventional. This has happened. Go do another FHA in a few years later. Or you could do FHA, move out, go do another 4-unit as conventional. So I get a lot of questions. Well, Kenny, how long do I have to live in the property? What's the rules? The rules are pretty simple, but there's no mortgage police, as I tell people. The FBI, the CIA, the NSA does not have a mortgage department that's going to come over here and say, well, Mr. Simpson, you're supposed to live in that 3-unit for a year and you left in 11 months, you're going to mortgage jail. No, that doesn't how it works. So basically, lenders would love that if you buy, own, or occupy property, you live there for a year before you rent it. Right? It's that simple. If for some reason you cannot do that because you got engaged or married and got a kid or this and you got to move, it's okay. It's not the end of the world. That is what they want you to do. They're not going to come and arrest you and put you in jail, and they're not going to do that. So just keep that in mind. But how you can repeat this is setting up a strategy to keep doing this. That's how somebody went from, hey, how'd that person go from owning a house to next thing they own 3-4 units? That's how they did it. Maybe it takes you 2 years. Maybe it takes you 5 years. What does it matter? Have a plan in place. Know your exit strategy. Know that you can go back and repeat this cycle, and then you can win because it's very simple. So in wrapping up, because I said I'm going to make this quick and short about house hacking. If you're a parent and you're watching this, I would advise, why are you buying your kid a house? Why are you buying your kid a condo? Why don't you set your kid up for success? Give them money, go in on the loan, whatever. Go buy a 2 to 4 unit. Let them live in one. Let them get that experience if that's what they're interested in, renting the others out and helping pay for the cost of the mortgage. Your son can then go into their job. If they're coming down here to San Diego to start a life, they just have that much of a less of a burden of that monthly payment. I'm telling you right now, so many people, the worst thing you can do is go out there and buy that big house first, the $1.5 million loan. Your parents gave you the money. You're having the parties. You look like the man. You look like the girl. You're winning. But at the end of the day, you have to show up every day and pump out that money to make that mortgage payment to keep up with all the expenses. It's expensive. It's really hard to get ahead and invest. So if you're telling your kids, let's go buy you a big fancy house, and then they're house poor because that mortgage payment, the upkeep, but how are they going to invest? How are they going to save money? What are they going to do for the future? Unless you're going to give them all your inheritance and they're good to go, then fine. But most of us don't have that. So we need the option to try to stack as much money, try to live frugal. And if you don't want to rent, that the rents that keep rising, and you want to have your own place and you want to make it your own, house hacking is a great way to crush it. And when you can put minimal down and there's still, I know rates are high. When rates come down, you can do refis. The cool thing is if you bought a 2-unit FHA, you can do a quick streamline refi. If you bought a VA 4-unit, when rates come back down, you can do a quick streamline Earl refi. It's very easy. It's very simple. House hacking, I love it. I love when I get the calls. I love when I get to talk to your kids or people that want to do it, especially in a place like San Diego. There's a win. And I will leave you with this. In San Diego, the ultimate house hack is where you live in one and you can VRBO 1 or 2 out, long-term the others, and you are living there mortgage-free and cash flowing. That's when you win. That's it, guys. That's what I got for you. If you have any questions about house hacking, want to jump on a call, want me to size a deal, financing questions, whatever it is, reach out. I always appreciate you guys for watching, sharing, liking, commenting, whatever it is. Again, Kenny Simpson from Getting the Cash Flow Game. Hope you guys have a great week. Hope you learned something here, and I look forward to talking to you guys soon.
If you're already a real estate investor, you know that aside from cash flow, you also get huge tax benefits by investing in real estate. But are you taking full advantage of all the potential tax benefits? We've been working with Tim Looney at CSSI for a few years now, and he's saved us and our clients hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars in taxes doing cost segregation studies on their properties. Let me give you a few examples. We bought a property in 2019. If we had just used straight line depreciation, we would have saved about $18,750 in taxes. But because we did a cost seg, we saved $258,000. That's $239,350 more than standard straight line depreciation in the first year. The other great thing is, if you're classified as a real estate professional, you can apply this to other sources of income like W-2 or 1099 income, and you can also roll over any unused depreciation to future years. If you've owned your properties for a few years already, don't worry. You can still do a cost seg and save big on your taxes. This is not tax advice, so consult your CPA to see if you qualify to take advantage of these benefits. Call or text Tim at 318-469-9861 to get your complimentary property analysis. Once again, that's 318-469-9861. And I'll also include his information in the show notes. You guys don't want to miss out on these tax savings.